All right, let's get an analyst take on this with this Eli Lilly story and the future of the obesity drug market really hanging in the balance right now. David Reisinger is a senior research analyst at Leerink Partners. He just, by the way, downgraded Eli Lilly just today to a market perform from a prior outperform. He also lowered his price target from $944 down to $715. Two very significant and notable moves. David, we just heard Angelica's report. It basically sets you up to take us into some more detail about just how competitive this dynamic is and whether or not this is going to be reason for both Novo and Lilly to really have to rethink how they pursue obesity going forward.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And it's not fun actually to be commenting on a stock downgrade because, this company, Eli Lilly, is an exceptional organization, and we hope for the best for them. But basically, our downgrade was triggered by the disappointing orforglipron results. We took our 2030 orforglipron sales estimate down from $22 billion approximately to about $14 billion. So we still expect the drug to be a mega blockbuster. But that balance of lower efficacy than we were hoping for and still tolerability and discontinuation issues drove us to lower our forecasts. Now, I mentioned the trigger, but there are two other points that we made in our note that I would add. The first is the competitive dynamic, and you brought this up with Angelica. So there is a wounded competitor out there, Novo Nordisk, that has struggled, and this is a duopoly. So that's not the healthiest situation in a duopoly to have a wounded competitor that may have to use more price in the future under its new leadership. In addition, there are emerging competitors with novel therapies that will make the market more crowded, not in the next few years, but by the end of the decade. So the competitive landscape is very dynamic. And the third thing I would briefly say is that we are concerned that employers have not been expanding coverage of anti-obesity medicines over the past 18 months and may not do so over the next 6 months for January of next year.
You're especially looking here, is when you're looking at U.S. government, the U.S. government is not making up for U.S. employers approving this drug?
Well, a couple things. So employers have a choice whether to cover anti-obesity medicines or not. Lilly said on the call today that about 50 to 55 million commercial lives have coverage. The issue is that high-margin employers are offering coverage in many cases, but middle and low-margin employers just don't have the money since, there's a large percentage of the American population that's obese.
David, I want to bring this question up to you as well because your coverage universe encompasses many of these names. If this is beyond just Novo and Eli Lilly, what are the next companies that have the most promising pipelines to address this particular GLP-1 or obesity/diabetes paradigm? And is this type of paradigm going to be the one that carries us into the next 2 or 3 years, or should we be looking elsewhere for the next big trade within pharma?
Great question. So there are a number of companies bringing obesity assets into the late stages of clinical development. So there are very large companies ranging from Amgen to AstraZeneca to Roche. And then there are emerging companies ranging from Structure Therapeutics, ticker GPCR, Viking Therapeutics, Metsera, which is a recent IPO this year. So there are a range of companies that have been developing new agents, a number of which could launch by the end of the decade.